As Bobby Kotick pulls the plug on Classic to make way for the bastard crusade, I figured that now would be a good time to reflect and look back on all my many different adventures during this era, many of which I had totally forgotten about, to show you all just what exactly I was up to on Classic most of the time, by taking a look at some of my screenshots, as well as some raw gameplay captures that I've took. If you've played with me on Classic, whether friend or foe, it's likely you'll be in this at some point. Originally this was going to be one giant dump, but I've had to split it up into numerous different parts, as there's simply so much to go through. We shall go in chronological order, and thus, this part will be very mild, featuring just the earliest glimpses of Classic during its innocence. But with each part, it will only get more and more established, and thus, more and more spicy. Regardless, I highly recommend you watch this at night, just before you snooze preferably, as it will be quite quiet, relaxing, and yeah, kind of like a bedtime story, but for nerds. So sit back, relax, and let's take a gander, shall we? So, what not a lot of people know is that at the start of Classic, I never intended to actually play a mage. Instead, I was going to be a warrior, and it was a warrior called Glorious, and I'd already pre-made the character and everything. But I saw a poll a few days before Classic went live that said that the vast majority of players were going to roll warriors in terms of classes. And I thought, well, why am I even rolling a warrior? And the only reason I was doing it is because my first character in WoW ever was a warrior, and I thought it would be like a little bit like a nostalgic message or something. But I thought, I hated it. I hated playing a warrior back in the day, so why would I want to subject myself to do that again? I'm going to have a lot more competition on gear, right? It's not going to be fun. So literally like last minute, like a day before Classic went launched, I said, fuck it, I'm going to rethink. And I made a mage, which of course became Mcmana. And fun fact for you, I got the name Mcmana because a day before Classic went live and I was thinking about this in my head, like, really, do I want to be a mage? I was eating a McDonald's and I said, I need a name. What can I call a mage? And yeah, I called him Mcmana because McDonald's, right? It's a genius name if you ask me, I think it's good. But the real reason is because my one goal for Classic, my only goal, was to get Grand Marshal. And I'm really into alliteration, right? So Grand Marshal Mcmana, come on. That sounds like it was made to be. It sounds like the title was made for the name, not the other way around, right? So yeah, I said, screw it, I'm gonna play a mage. And there we go, Mcmana. So when Classic launched, I was obviously very excited. And if you've seen Warfall Classic, then you'll know how excited I was. But you know, this is the actual minute the servers went live, and as you can see, for the first like minute or so, rather than actually leveling up, I'm instead trying to find the setting where you can enable instant quest text. And for some reason, I think it's in the graphical settings menu. You know, you can tell how much my head is completely up my backside. You know, at this point. And yeah, the sheer amount of people was shocking, especially when you consider that the server was sharded up, right? Like what you can see here isn't even like a fraction of the real amount of people. But as a result, you know, the servers were awful, right? It was lagging all the time. You couldn't speak. I mean, I'm sure everyone who played Classic at launch, you remember this. Like, it was a nightmare. Pretty much, like, it was, for a lot of people, it was unplayable. And so I just said, right, what am I doing? I'm not going to waste my time leveling up with everyone else, competing against each other for the same 5 mobs. I'm going to get the hell out of here and I'm going to do some exploring, right? So I go about and I decide to go and see Stormwind, right? Vanilla Stormwind, because Vanilla Stormwind is really different from like the Stormwind that people are used to in crap WoW or retail WoW, as some people call it. And so I go there, and you're never going to believe this. I came across a group of old friends of mine who just so happened to be playing on the same server as me, completely unplanned. I meet them up in Elwyn and we go to Stormwind and we go exploring basically, right? So first of all, we go under Stormwind. Anyone remember the old classic, you know, jump on the torch to get under Stormwind glitch? Because the world was really made of like bubblegum and string back then, right? It wasn't designed for flying. It wasn't designed for like, it was a mess. It was put together really fragilely. So you could go under Stormwind and explore underneath it. I think we were probably the first people on the server to do that. Then we went to the park, of course, right? Because the park obviously got destroyed in Cataclysm. So for like 9 years or something, we hadn't seen this place. It was really nostalgic to go back to. And then, of course, to the Stormwind Keep, right? Because obviously Varian wasn't even around in vanilla, and Bolvar Fordragon was still the head of the Alliance. So it was really, basically, look, we were just doing what everyone was doing when Classic came out, right? We were having a really nostalgic moment, right? And yeah, it was a lot of fun. But eventually we decided that we needed to go leveling because, you know, people were starting to go off, right? People who actually had stuff to do were going off, so the servers were becoming a lot less stressed. And so then we decided to level up. So this is the first screenshot that I have from Classic WoW. And as you can see, it's been like 13 hours or something like that since launch. I'm level 13, it's now daytime, I'm in Redridge. It took me this long to rebind the screenshot button for some reason, I don't know why. So yeah, no screenshots for pretty much the first 10 levels. So here's the first screenshot, and I'm in Redridge, and the first screenshot is someone saying, "After being in Mcmana's group for hours, I really regret some things." That's the first screenshot that I've got. But yeah, I remember this actually, leveling in Redridge. And there's me, and I made like this questing group, right? Because the quests in Redridge are difficult, right? They're not like easy. And there was a guy called My Best Pal, and I don't really remember the rest of them, but I remember My Best Pal, and he was like a really cool, really nice guy. I tell you, his name was accurate because he was basically my best pal while leveling up in Redridge, because let me tell you, he was really, really nice guy. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And yeah, so here I am in Westfall a few hours later. Here I'm pointing out that for some reason, wand durability is visually shown as a bow. It's like, yeah, is that meant to be the case? Is that a bug? I don't know. But yeah, apparently when your wand is low durability, it is a bow. And yeah, here's me bragging in my own guild chat that only 7 hours and that's an official 24-hour marathon. What a badass, right? Whoa, dude, you've been playing a game for 24 hours? Such a cool guy. Oh, that reminds me, Mint. I made Mint my guild. Mint stands for, or it was meant to stand for, Marshals in No Time, right? And the plan was that it was going to be the realm's premier PvP guild, because remember, the only thing I really wanted to do was to get Grand Marshal. This here is what I call a modern art piece, right? So these are screenshots that I've taken that aren't necessarily of anything, but it's modern art, right? So this one I call the unknown future, all right? So as you can see here, I'm in Mcmana, and you can see it's nice, and you know the trees are green, and it's really nice, right? But if you look in the back there, you can see like the snow on the cliffs, right? It's like, wow. That's why it's called the unknown future, because you can look forward, but you still don't really know how different the future's going to be, right? Just because things are good now doesn't mean they're going to be good in the future, right? That's modern art for you, ladies and gentlemen. But the problem with this screenshot is, can you tell? Have a look carefully. What's the problem with this screenshot? Because this was going to be my desktop background, right? What's the problem with it? If you look in the bottom right corner, you'll see that someone's name and character, like the top of their character's head, is there, ruining it. And I took this screenshot and I was really happy with it, and I was like, yeah, wow, that's a really nice shot. And then I see this and I was livid, right? Because you can edit it out, but I'll remember, like I'll know I've edited it, right? It ruined it. It completely ruined it. So I don't really like this screenshot. This is me in Mcmana, and as you can see, I'm arguing with people in general chat about Activision. So not much has really changed, has it? And I guess I must have took this screenshot to remind myself that even when I'm meant to be at my happiest, right? Like, how long did people wait for Classic, right? Like a decade? And this is the first day of Classic. I still somehow find a way to be miserable, right? Even when I'm meant to be happy, I'm still miserable. So there we go. And yeah, this is me and a guy called Mobin, right? And this was another guy I met in Redridge leveling up. And he was telling me that he was a really nice guy. And he was telling me that he was actually in the army, in the Air Force. And I made a joke to myself saying that he must have been annoyed about no flying in Classic. And for some reason, I thought that was so funny. I thought that was such a funny joke that I screenshotted it, just so me in the future would see that joke and laugh at myself. And the funny thing is, I do think it's funny. I am a funny person, but I think I'm only funny to me. And this is the first actual proper screenshot of Mcmana. So here I am Hearthstoning, probably because I'm about to go to bed, because I'm absolutely knackered. And I've been up forever. Must have been up for like 22 hours or something like that. So yeah, I think I'm Hearthstoning to go to bed. Notice how in the background you can see it's turning nighttime again, right? So... But I wasn't able to snooze long, and here I am just a few hours later in Dead Mines with some minters. And this is when we're just about to get Mr. Smite down for the first time. All of us are out of mana, as you can see, and yeah, we didn't really know if we were going to do it because the tank was really low on health and the healer couldn't really heal him, and we were using bandages, like we were just so ghetto. But yeah, this was the first dungeon and it was a lot of fun. Very, very nostalgic to go through old Dead Mines, because again, Cataclysm really changed Dead Mines as well, and it changed it a lot. And here is outside the Dead Mines portal, and as you can see, there's a lot of people. There was a lot more. You know, I remember this very well. Like if I would have turned around and took a screenshot there was a lot more people, and it was crazy the amount of people who were doing the dungeon. Because let's face it, right? Dead Mines is like pretty much the only low-level Alliance dungeon that is close by, so everyone and their mum was doing it. And this is me stood in the middle of Stormwind. Originally, when I first saw this screenshot, I couldn't really figure out why. Like, what is this? Why did I take this screenshot? And it's because, look, I've got shoulders. So I must have been, I bought some shoulders from the auction house, and I was so happy with myself that I took a screenshot. Because it is true, right? Let's be real. When you start a new character on WoW, when you get shoulders, that's like, you know you've got a real character then, right? Like, you haven't really got a character if you ain't got shoulders. Helmet, no one really cares. Shoulders, that's what you need. So this was like, I'm a real baller now, right? And this is me in Red Ridge with a group, and we're doing those awful quests. Like, all Alliance will know this. You know the quests when you have that tower and it's full of elite orcs and it's group quests and you have to do them, but they give a lot of XP, so you kind of have to do them, but they're such a pain because even with 4 other people it's annoying. And this is us about to kill the boss, the Stonewatch, that's what it's called, right? I hated these quests, they were awful. But it was a lot of fun looking back, but I hated it at the time, right? It's one of those things where it's like you hate it when you're doing it, but when you look back you're like, oh, I remember that was cool. Right, this is us in the middle of Stormwind at night, and the servers are about to go offline, and everyone's really, really pissed off. Despite the fact it's 2 o'clock in the morning, so you know what I mean, it's like shouldn't really be up anyway. I remember being very, very annoyed at this, because as you can see I was getting a group together to go to Stockade, and they just basically was like, yeah, we're going to shut down in a few seconds. Usually they give you a longer warning, but I'm almost certain with this they were just like, nah, turn it off. This was an interesting screenshot actually. If you read the quest text here, which I'm not going to read, but if you pause and read it, you'll see that this quest basically alludes to the Cataclysm expansion. It mentions Deathwing and how he's going to, attack Stormwind, and this quest was put in the game in 2004? So yeah, it basically foreshadowed an expansion that would come out 6 years later. I just thought that was really cool. Me on a griffin flying to Red Ridge, not really much to say about it, but what I will say is I really like it when it rains in WoW. I really like rain. I think rain's really relaxing. I obviously don't like to be out in rain, right? But there's nothing better than when you're inside and it's raining outside and you're warm and cozy, right? You have a little bit of a hot chocolate, maybe a cup of tea or a coffee or something, and you're just looking at everyone else getting pissed on outside with the rain. Look, is that just me? Come on. I like rain a lot. I actually used this for the background of a podcast. I can't remember what the hell I was talking about, but yeah, I think that's pretty cool. One thing I like about leveling up in Classic WoW is just how crap everyone looks. Right, like everyone's gear is just so bad. I mean, there's just something appealing about that. Like in games today, we like instant gratification. Like everyone has to look like a badass, but the problem is if everyone looks like a badass, no one does, right? So in Classic, like if you got a really good looking set of gear, like people did respect you because it was like, oh wow, like look at that guy. And I just like how when everyone's leveling up, we all look crap, right? It's just amusing. What happened here was Mint and a guild called Defias Brotherhood, which was like a Defias RP guild, right? That they were role-playing as the Defias. We basically formed an alliance, and because we were both interested in PvP, like world PvP to an extent. And I befriended the leader, Edwin, and we got together and we brought loads of people to Booty Bay, and we were going to basically do the realm's first like invasion of Crossroads. Yeah, so here we are lining up, and it was very organized. Like, it might look like it might sound like a clusterfuck, but we were very, very organized. And yeah, we went around there, and you know, I gotta say, it's gonna sound like a rant, right? But it was like shocking how difficult it was to get people to raid Crossroads. The amount of people who were like, no, I've got to level. Like, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, fuck you. Because just think, Classic WoW's just come out. This must be like, what, the second, third day, something like that? I don't know. And this is never going to happen again, right? Classic WoW's never going to come out again, and even if it did, it wouldn't be anywhere near as popular as the classic release that people have waited almost 20 years for. Like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You can level up anytime, but events like this here, they don't happen often. And the fact that some people were like, no, I'm gonna go and level up, that annoyed the shit out of me, because I thought, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, that to me, that goes to show, like, what kind of person are you? Are you a boring bastard, or are you an interesting person? Only a boring bastard would say no to an event like this. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. And we ended up, you know, like, we invaded Ratchet, but then a bunch of, no, not Ratchet, we invaded Crossroads, and then a bunch of Horde came around, and then they were, you know, they drove us back, and it was just crazy. It was such a good time. But the problem is that, you know, a few hours later, I was leveling up in Westfall, and all of a sudden I see a bunch of Horde everywhere. And it turns out they were attacking us in retaliation for how we attacked them earlier, right? They were getting their revenge. And so I was just like, what the fuck? Yeah, as you can see, there was a ton. There was an absolute ton of them. There must have been like hundreds of them. And so all the Alliance, we had to gather a bunch of Alliance, and there ended up being this absolutely gargantuan, massive world PvP battle. And you know, you can see me in the guild chat there saying, Jesus Christ, Michael, how many is there? Right? Because there's so many people. And yeah, the servers were I thought they were going to crash, frankly, because there was so many people in one place. But we ended up pushing them back and forcing them to go back to Stranglethorn, and then we beat them up in their own turf. And it was crazy. It was such a, like, it was just, I've used this in a lot of videos I've made, I noticed, because it's so good, right? I don't think a world PvP event spontaneously emerged like this on the server again. I think like this was like the biggest, I think. Was really an amazing time. But anyway, back to leveling, and so here I am outside of the stockades, and someone said that they really liked my name, and I must have been so happy that someone complimented my name that I screenshotted it. Yeah, it is a good name, isn't it? Okay, so this right here. Okay, so you might be thinking, why have I took this screenshot? It looks pretty boring. If you look in the chat, right, what we did was, every time we invited someone in the guild and they accepted, we would go crazy, right? So some guy called Distorop, or whatever his name is, has just joined, and everyone's like, oh my god, look who it is, it's him! Oh my god, welcome, right? And we just did that to see their reactions, right? Because imagine you join a guild, right? And what usually happens, people are like, welcome, right? But imagine if you joined a guild and everyone freaks the fuck out, right? You're gonna feel very, very welcome, and that was the plan, right? We were just trying to welcome people to the next level. And here I am in the stockades, and this is the first screenshot I have of the Mint Guild UI, and we're talking in the chat, I'm talking about the tabard, right? Remember, you know, to get a guild tabard, that costs like 10 gold, and that's a lot of gold when you're leveling up. So we had to like come together, and some people put 2 gold, some people put 1 gold, and eventually we could afford it, but it wouldn't be for a while. And yeah, here we are, we're doing the welcome thing again to some guy called Balthrizar, who was a really good dwarf priest who healed us in stockades. It was a lot of fun. And here I couldn't figure out why I took this screenshot either, but someone said Mcmana is the best mage on the server. Thank you very much. This is a screenshot I took where I dinged level 29 by just discovering a zone, accidentally. And I think this is the first time I went to Northern Eastern Kingdoms as well, so yeah, I hate Northern Eastern Kingdoms, by the way. The zones are such shitholes. Alright, this is another modern art piece. I call this one Cold Isolation. And it's called that because, as you can see, there's no one around, right? It's totally quiet, it's totally empty. And the point of this one is, sometimes in life you're going to be on your own, right? Deal with it. What do you think? That's a good message, I think. Okay, so here I am. I've leveled up quite a lot now. Level 29, almost level 30. We're outside Scarlet Monastery. And I took this screenshot because there was a torrent called Big Smoke. And being a big fan of San Andreas, I thought that was really cool. Unfortunately, we had to waste Big Smoke, right? Because he's Horde, but hey, there you go. Straight buster. Mint was growing rapidly at this point. We have over 100 people online. Granted, this was because of our ridiculous mass recruitment campaign, which I believe some would consider spam, but regardless, yeah, it was quite incredible, really, how fast we were growing. And right, this is where things start to go downhill. So, I talk a lot, right? That shouldn't be too much of a surprise. If you know me, you know I like to talk a lot. And I might have talked a bit too much because people started reporting me for spam, and as you can see there, I got muted for the first time. But the thing is, I wasn't spamming, right? Because to me, spamming is repeating the same message over and over and over and over again, right? Being an annoying bastard. I don't spam, I just talk a lot. And this is something that is really interesting to me. Back in the day, like 2007, if you talked a lot, people liked it because people liked to talk, right? People played MMOs to have some level of social bonding, right? But if you talk now in WoW, people tell you to shut the fuck up. And it's a big difference between the culture of then versus now. Back then, people wanted to speak to people. And now people don't want to speak to anyone. People are very strange these days. Everyone's very silent. Everyone's very paranoid. They don't want to make a fool of themselves. I don't mind making a clown out of myself. I don't, who cares? People need to stop taking themselves so seriously, but people do. And when someone falls outside of that strict mold, they kind of go like, okay, well, he's a problem and we have to get rid of him. And it's like, why do you think like that? What's wrong with you? You're a freak. Here's the first screenshot we got of the Mint Guild tabard. I didn't want to go with a mint colour, even though it would make sense. Yeah, I went with that sort of cool green. In this chat, someone was going on to me about how I was in their Lich King server 3rd back in the day. And he got me mixed up with someone else because I can tell you right now, I was not in any Lich King server 3rd back in the day. I was in Lich King server 1st. I mean, come on, what am I, a scrub? But yeah. Oh, and also, I was telling people to lower their resolution to 800 by 600 for maximum immersion, despite the fact I wasn't doing it myself. So, this screenshot says many things. So yeah, this screenshot's quite funny. So there was a warrior called Soday and a paladin called Malone, and they were arguing with each other because, warriors hate ret paladins, right? Because warriors, they think ret paladins are useless, and ret paladins feel like they're always, insulted for no reason, right? So I thought it was really funny how already, I've already found a ret and a warrior argue. But I have to say I'm on team warrior in this case because that Malone guy was a total prick. Proper arsehole. Okay, so here I am outside of Scarlet Monastery, and this is where guild rivalries start to be a thing, because you'll see Sanguine there, the Night Elf. They were in a guild called Fairytale. What Fairytale was doing is they used to be a mint. They were stealing our members. They were poaching our members away from us, and so they quickly became our worst enemy. Mint versus Fairytale, and I despised them because Fairytale, it turns out, is the name of an anime. I mean, as if that's not bad enough. Imagine naming your guild after an anime. I mean, come on. They were really, terrible, terrible people. We'll get on more into that later. Yeah, here's me, Michael, and a guy called Maggle. This Maggle guy, total legend. He was from Romania. He was in a guild called Templars of the Light, and Mint and Templars of the Light kind of teamed up to battle against Fairytale, right? We had allies. This sounds really sad when I say this out loud, by the way, but hey, when you're playing WoW, you take it seriously. But here we are in Hillsbrad Foothills, and we were just ganking some Horde. I say ganking, we're the same level, so it's not really, is it? We're questing, they're questing. I gotta say though, I am a generous person, so here there's a Tauren, right, and we're 2 players, we can clearly kill him if we wanted to. But I said, if he waves at us and he's nice to us, don't kill him, right, because if they're nice, just let him be. So we let him be. I really like this screenshot. It's me, Michael, and Maggle, but he's not in this one. And we're in 1,000 Needles. And I don't know why I like these screenshots. I guess it's because it's so classic, right? Like, you look at this, and I don't know what it is about 1,000 Needles. Actually, I do. It's because 1,000 Needles was flooded in Cataclysm, right? So this zone is like, you look at it and you just think classic, right? Like, this is classic incarnate. And you can see us walking. We're actually doing quests, and it looks like we're on the moon here. But these quests were really like difficult because remember, we're in a neutral, contested area, and 1,000 Needles is mostly Horde, so we were really paranoid. This screenshot, we must be teabagging a Horde, but there's so many of us that I can't tell. I doubt we would just be teabagging the ground for no reason. So yeah, I imagine there's a Horde under there somewhere. Alright, so yeah, here we are again in Hillsbrad doing some PvP. The problem was, we quickly got outnumbered. There's a guy called McGregor. He's the guy laughing there. And I remember this guy was a really cool guy. His name was also began with Mc, right? So we were kind of like, hey, nice name. And we became friends quite a bit. But yeah, we were getting outnumbered, so we ran the fuck away. Here's me in Silverpine Forest. Don't know why I took this screenshot. I guess it just looks cool, but yeah, there you go. And here we are about to do Scarlet Monastery, and we have to hide at the back of the monastery because the amount of Horde there are at the front looking for us is unbelievable. And yeah, here's me. People are talking about me in world chat, and I can't respond. And I must have took this screenshot to show how annoyed I was. I don't bloody know. But yeah, and also fuck Praxis. Oh yeah, this guy, Hermeticus, right? So this guy apparently lived with Athene. Now, Athene, if you don't know, he was like a big WoW player back in the day. Apparently now he's made some sort of cult in Germany. I don't know. But anyway, this guy, Athene was playing on our server, and this guy was in his guild, and he wouldn't shut the fuck up about Athene. He kept saying like, oh, Athene is like, is this enlightened being? And I thought, is he trolling? But he wasn't trolling, he was serious. He wouldn't shut up, he was just like, oh, Athene is this amazing, his ideas are next level. And we're just trying to do Scarlet Monastery, and we're like, man, can you just help us summon? You know what I mean? Like, it was amusing though, I gotta admit. And yeah, this is us, and we're about to kill Herod for the first time. And you can see there's someone called Girold. Girold, absolute fantastic guy. He was in our guild for a long time. The only problem with Girold is he was under the illusion that he could be a paladin and tank, which was complete bogus, because if you want to be a tank, you play a warrior. And so I kept telling him, you're the healer, Girold, but he wouldn't listen to me. Eventually he would though, of course, and we'll see that later. This is me with the white mains Chateau, and I really like the look of this helmet. It looks like a crown. And being a king, of course, I need a crown, right? So, no shock why. Oh yeah, and I also have the Scarlet Tabard. I forgot, I got that as well, very rare. Never wore it, of course, because you can't really be a guild master and not wear your own guild's tabard. So really, this tabard should have gone to someone else, but hey, there you go. Yeah, so at this point I'm level 38, and as you can see, level 40 you get your first mount, right? So I'm saving up for the mount, and I came up with this idea. I remember that warriors at level 30, they have the Whirlwind Axe quest. So I remember for that quest, you had to collect these Thundering Charms and a bunch of others. So I'm here in Arathi, and I'm grinding the charms so I can sell them on the auction house for a lot of money. And yeah, needless to say, that was a success. And yeah, this pretty much paid for my first mount. And this is another modern art piece, and I call this one Beauty and the Beast. Alright, so as you can see, the trees, really beautiful, right? Really beautiful colours. Or autumn. Autumn's one of my favourite seasons, and it is autumn, by the way, not fall, just in case, you're a fool and you call it fall for some reason. But yeah, trees are beautiful, but in the corner there's a big spider. Right, and it's just like, wouldn't it be great if that wasn't there? But that's the point. That's utopianism. In this world, there's always going to be beauty, and there's always going to be beast, right? It's about having more beauty than beast. And that's what this modern art piece represents. That's pretty deep, right? I like that screenshot a lot. Alright, and here I am, getting the first mount. And yeah, this is me on the mount. Got a red mount, even though my favourite colour is green, because I remember back in the day I bought the red mount for some reason, and I thought it would be quite traditional. again, there's just some random world PvP breaking out. It was, like I said, in the early days of Classic when you're leveling up, it was crazy. Like, there was action on every corner. And it was spontaneous as well, that's the best part. Of course we won, right? I mean, come on, let's get real. And this is Teramus, the Devourer, a elite mob, skull level in Stormwind. And yeah, this definitely wasn't us. I can assure, look, come on, guys, would I do something like that? No. Now I'm thinking like, okay, I gotta save up for my epic mount now, right? So I had this idea that I was gonna make a brand of shirts called Made by Mcmana. What I would do is there would be limited quantity, right? And I would only sell like 10 of each color. So 10 white shirts, 10 blue shirts, 10 green shirts, 10 pink shirts, right? And the idea is that it was an investment, right? This is the WoW version of crypto. I'm a fucking genius, listen to this. So you buy a shirt for a gold, right? And a gold, that's a lot. But later on in Classic, because, you know, the idea was you'll be able to sell it for a lot more, right? So yeah, you'll buy it for a gold now, but because it's limited edition, you'll be able to sell it for like 100 gold. Now, a lot of people laughed at this. They were like, I'm not buying your shirt that I can buy on the auction house for 10 silver for a gold. You know, I don't care who it's made by. Screw you. But those that did buy the shirts, they're all wealthy now. It was genius. It was genius. So congratulations to everyone who has a Made by Mcmana shirt. You are now a millionaire.